Good morning and welcome to Scotty Wandering. My name is Peter and this is day 3 on my trip around Lake Michigan. First stop, Indiana Dunes, then I was up in Grand Haven after going to the RV museum. Well, I left Grand Haven this morning and my first stop is White River Light. So I'm along the channel. This is the White River, which creates a lake over there coming out into Lake Michigan. And some beautiful sand dunes that are nicely vegetated to keep them stable. $18.75. So this lighthouse, the first lighthouse keeper was here for 30 or 40 years and raised 10 kids here. And one of his grandkids then took over after he retired. So this was cared for by the same family for generations. So this is the Lightkeeper's Workshop, available with video tour going constantly. Now we got a construction going on, so I got deliveries going on right now in the house. But this little building here was built in 1902 to store the kerosene for the light. So they went many years with the kerosene being stored in the basement with the family living there, and they eventually convinced the those in charge to build the little kerosene storage room for them. And since it was lived in for so long and then cared for by the local community, it's in amazingly good shape. For $8 you can climb up to the top per person. Now the original light and lens is not up top. It was there. Coast Guard removed it, stored it in Detroit. When they turned this back in the museum, they asked for it back. They put it up top. Somebody shot at the light, damaged it, so it's now in the museum on the second floor. So you can still come and see the lens that came from France. Just to south of the lighthouse is Duck Lake State Park. I'm trying to figure out what all is hiding here other than beautiful woods. Now, I'm here just before fall. I can imagine this would be a really pretty drive when the colors turn. So I just drove out to the north edge of the park on this long road, and well, there's not even a place to park out there. So there's trails all over, but very little parking to go, like trailhead parking for that. Let's go check out the beach. Now there is a boat launch and a separate kayak launch that you have to kind of carry your kayak down through the woods to the sand. Now we're down in the beach area, restrooms, highway right by. And let's see what the beachy is like. Alright, this would be Lakeside Beach. Swimming across lake not recommended. Distance is further than it appears. So a nice little swimming area here. You can swim probably across the channel here, but don't try to get to the other side of the lake. Now this boardwalk continues on under the highway overpass here, and then you have Lake Michigan side beach. The water's pretty clear. More endless soft sandy beach along the Michigan shoreline, and it wouldn't be much to wade across with your gear. So that's Duck Lake State Park along the Michigan shoreline. No camping here. Moving on. Whitehall. I couldn't ignore that. It's called Iron Butterfly. Welcome to Point Campground in the National Forest here. I just marked on my map. I'm not planning on spending the night here, but I really wanted to check it out. I'm pretty sure this is a small campground. First come, first serve. But we'll find out in a minute. Okay, what I do know right now is this is managed by American Land and Leisure, so it has a concessionaire. So it's a little more expensive than some others. It's $24 a night. Let me go take a look at some of these sites. I haven't seen anybody here yet. They do have ice available, firewood available for $8 a bundle. I don't know what the ice is. Oh, $5, and it just has a payment mailbox over there, so it's on the honor system that way. Let's take a look at some of these sites. Well, I must be off season. There is no campground manager right now. Now, this is the reason I flagged this. It's close to a river. And here meanders the river. It is definitely a river, not a creek or stream. It's very windy, twisty, but fairly wide, and seems to have quite a bit of flow through here. My goal is to see if there's any sites on the river. There's another nice access point for the river. So if you want to fish the river, there are some good points along here. It looks like you could probably tube this river. There is a access point a little downstream, so if you play the multiple car game, you could shuttle back and forth. Looks clear enough. Haven't found anything really on the river yet though, and this is like the only spot, because of this little rock world that has been built here, that you hear the river. So from that little spot, climbing up the hill, I'm in a site that is huge. You know, watch out, the acorns are falling like crazy right now. This is a massive site. Put whatever you want here. They're all pretty primitive sites. And let's get the number. Site 8. That's that big old site. That in the fall right now you will have acorns dropping on your roof all night. 7 is fairly close to that one as well. This one, plenty of room for tents, park out front, lots of room in the back, but the trees make it difficult to. Site 6 here, 2 picnic tables, and having dealt with American Land and Leisure before, if this was during the season and there was somebody here, they would probably be charging you double for this site. Now the next couple sites are reserved only, and a phone number to call for reservations. And these do have tags to mark if they're reserved or not, which means there is potential to say, hey, I still want to come here. So this one, 2-car max, must be in sight. That time has passed. I'm going to get to the back of these sites to see if they get to the river or not. Separate pit toilet over here. I think everything else was first come, first serve. No tag on that one currently, but it is reservable. So the green marks are reservable sites. Like I said, 2 picnic tables. They're probably charging double for that. Probably charging double for that, but they are massive sites. Bring a friend or 2. Yeah, for site 3, 5-car max, so they're definitely considering this a double site, and I'm sure it's charged at a higher rate than what the sign said. So at the moment, I'm not seeing really anything else that is even close to the river. And that's why I didn't choose this one. So I didn't think it was going to be quite what I wanted. but I wanted to show it to you as an option for access to water camping site in Michigan that's not on a sandy beach. All right, so that couple is with American Land and Leisure, and they are taking over tonight of this campground, which is dead empty, but people will be back in on the weekend. At least there are some reservations, but other than that, the place is empty right now. Closes October 15th for the season. Oh, and I am here mid-September, and he said the salmon are running, so if you're a fisherman, go ahead and drop a line. All right, so this was a National Forest Campground, and like I said, it does have a concessionaire, so prices a little higher than they would be otherwise, but they usually are better cared for and have a few extras like the ice and firewood on site. It is dead empty, and only a couple of them are reservable. The rest are at that rate I gave you, and 50% off, of course, if you have your senior access pass. But it is mostly first come, first serve. Wide variety of sites here, lots of options. Only those couple that you would find on Reserve America. Other than that, if you like it, you grab it. But it's not actually on the river. There is a river here, but not on the river. Yep, moving in now, bringing in their leaf blowers to clear the place out. I am going to be staying at a state forest campground tonight, I believe, and that's where I'm going, and that's about an hour away. Off the coastline now. So I'm cruising up Michigan's 37. Find the meat shack, and I stopped. I got some salmon jerky. Yummy. I really don't want to have to do this, but no headlight, and I have no daytime running light on one side, and no daytime running light on the other side. So I'm going to try to change them all now that I got a campsite. It's 2014, you've seen some salt. Things are a little rusty. Yeah, that's not supposed to happen. The whole fitting that it actually screwed into came out. Step one. Nothing about this is easy. Well, after about 20 minutes of fighting, here's the problem. The lamp wasn't in the socket. The clip to hold it is kind of trashed. It's in there, barely. Hopefully it holds up. But if you look here, it was sitting down here and melted through. There's a hole here. So I probably need to try to find a used, like find a van that's trashed from the back and still has a good front end that I can get some replacement whole assemblies from. Bummer. Well, my home for the night, Site 12 in the Silver Creek Campground in Michigan State Forest. Now, I picked this site, well, this campground first, and then this site. This is a nice place. Back here, plunk down a chair. And because of those lovely rocks out there in the middle, I get the sound of water. The river flows very well, so most of the river doesn't make a sound. But this was the gold I was searching for. And it's deep enough out there, if I wanted to, I could take a complete dunk. But we're going to go check out a trail. Tributary. This is the trail, I believe. Now the bridge was put there to make this a loop trail, so it goes down one side of the creek, comes back on the other after, I believe, going through another National Forest campground, if I have the energy to do the whole loop. I think it's a little over 2 miles. It's actually a good thing. The trail is a little straighter than the river, so it's not going to be quite as long. Now that river, creek, whatever you want to call it, is certainly kayakable. There were people pulling out just out of my campsite just before it. So somewhere upriver is put in that they were coming in, and I'm going downriver now on the trail. This is something I've never seen before. I have no idea what I'm looking at here. And it continues down to the ground. Whatever that is. Let me know in the comments if you know what I'm looking at here. If I was going the other way, there's a helper rope to get me up. But I'm going down. I hope this shows color well in the river down there, because I love how when the river reflects colorful leaves up above and on the reverse of the waves going through, you get this blue sky. I hope that shows up on here. Well, I just made it to my next river crossing, the other end, and I'm going to loop back up. But the last bit of it was on this road. I call it a logging road, I guess, but part of it when I first got on was soft, deep sand, like you were on a deep beach. And other sections of it are thick, heavy mud. So, and this is the turnaround, so wherever that road goes, I don't know. Apparently I'm on some sort of ATV trail at the moment, because they just had directions to the store with off-road gas. I gotta figure out how to walk back up on the other side now. Well, if you put in at Silver Creek Campground, you can definitely pull out here at Lincoln Bridge Campground or near that. I'm kind of racing the clock on daylight right now, so I see if I come back or not tomorrow to check out Lincoln Bridge Campground. So I saw from the other side there was this massive dune on this side of the river, and it just made me climb straight up it. Luckily it wasn't actually soft sand, but it's a ridge of dune and quite high. There's a bench. Yay. There's also a spot over here. It looks like people just sort of walked in circles for a minute after coming up. It's a steep climb. Breathe, move on. And kudos to whoever hauled the bench up here. Thank you. Okay, I'm less impressed now. This is only like 30 yards from the bench, and it's a road. I have been waiting to see some wildlife out here besides squirrels. And, well, let's just say, some deer saw me before I saw them. And then I saw them as they bounded away straight down the hill towards the river. Trail kind of just bobs on and off this off-road trail here. So sometimes you're on a soft sandy road and sometimes you're bushwhacking it along here. Well, it looks like I'm gonna make it. I'm about a quarter mile out yet, but this whole side, let's see if we can shade it a little more, has been way up on the bluff on the top of this sand dune. The other side you are more along the river, so I feel very disconnected from the river on this side of the trail. And a lot of times you are really riding the edge of a cliff here. And it's also, in some spots, a cross-country ski trail, which I would find very suspect, not knowing if this was piled with snow, where the real edge is. Back down the hill, closer to the river again. Get closer. Well, just as the sun is kind of disappearing over there, I hear a vehicle, which means I am almost back to my site. Well, that was more of a workout than I anticipated. Glad I did it. Glad I made it back in time. There's a weird section there where you're going through some clear-cut stuff and the trail kind of disappeared, but it's right at the point when you need to drop down. And there were no markers at the drop-down point. It's kind of strange. I needed that. But boy, is that chilly. Whew, dog, that's cold. Thought maybe I'd dunk, but no way. Ooh, my feet are numb. Well, that was a great night of sleep in there. I had a lot of sleep last night. Best investment, and totally only because we went to Portland, to Oregon and the Redwoods this year and rented a van with a screen in the back, that we got one, and I'm so happy we did. This has been great to sleep with those back doors open wherever we are. Really like that. But all night long, you know, I had this and the sound of this and the frogs and the crickets. Now, what really surprised me out here is I got campsites right next to me, both sides. But I wandered as far as I could wander, you know, in this cold, cold river here. And I couldn't see a sign of the entrance to either one of them. So I have all of this is basically is my riverfront. So on a really hot day in the middle of the summer, if you were here, you could plunk a chair down if it doesn't get washed away. Anywhere in here and just relax. And certainly fly fishing, I saw that going on downstream here. To me, this kind of campground, everybody has their own little site, designated area in the state forest, I love that. Where am I? Michigan State Forests. They give you those individualized sites. The state parks don't. Those are just grassy, paved areas, and you just do what you want with, and your neighbors do what they want with, and you see each other, and you're all just part of one big community if that's what you want. But if you want some alone space, this is it. This is golden. And to have the moving water is just something that's so hard to find in the Midwest at a campground. Everything else is on a lake. But as you can see from up front, that's me. There's my neighbor here, fairly close. But it's a wedge's back. It's a pie wedge back. And the same thing over here. I felt like, oh, I'm going to be really close to these others. But on the river, you're all alone. I'm just here, just as the tops of the trees are starting to change colors too. So that's going to wrap up this video. So got to see a lighthouse on our way out of after Grand Haven, hopped down to a state park, checked out a national forest campground along a river, not as convenient as this one. That's why I chose this one. And the wonderful hike here, or pathway, I think they call it. Silver Creek Pathway. That's what I saw. There was, I looked on the map and I found a few other pathways in state forest. So that's what they're calling it. So look for the pathways. They're kind of interesting. Very different, one side of the river from the other. On that side of the river, opposite the campground, it's along the river. On this side, you're up on the top of the bluff of the sand dune that follows along the river. So very different experiences. Give yourself more time than I did if you ever get out here. I'll see you in the next one. Sleeping Bear Dunes is in my next video. That's my next destination from here. So check that out. Besides full campground tours of this one, and I believe I'm going to do the one just downstream here as well. So I'll see you in the next video. Get on out there and sit, relax, and breathe.